rhythm of their paddle wheels used to be the heartbeat of life up and down North America's largest river. But soon the traditional Mississippi steamboat will disappear. Once they transported a unique attitude towards life out into the whole world. This leg of our journey takes us to the roots of this attitude. It was the Mississippi that gave us the rhythm that accompanies our joys and sorrows, our love and our anger. America's largest river gave us the music to all this. U.S. Route 61, better known as Highway 61. This long and winding road follows the course of the river from the south to the north for almost 1,400 miles. It's also known as the Blues Highway. In the town of Clarksdale, they've even dedicated a museum to this music. The guitars presented here like icons in temple were once owned by the blues masters, originators of a musical revolution that would change the whole world's attitude towards life. They say that Clarksdale is the cradle of the blues because the legend has it that over 70 years ago at a crossroads here, a young musician sold his soul to the devil. The devil, for his part, granted the young novice an unparalleled mastery of the guitar. Many years ago, it was the blues that drew John Rusky to the banks of the Mississippi. It was here that the young man from the Rocky Mountains, who had studied philosophy and mathematics, found the life he had been seeking.
Well, you can love me or leave me any way you choose. Yes, you can love me or leave me any way you choose.
At some point, John began building canoes, a business that turned out to be quite lucrative. Boo and Woody, two youths from Clarksdale, are learning everything from John that they'll need later as boatsmen on the river, including the basic skills required for boat construction. John Rusky named his company Quapaw, the tribal name of the indigenous residents who once controlled the Mississippi. This canoe has been under construction for several weeks. When it's finished, it will carry up to 12 people on the Mississippi.
This is a Voyager-style canoe. It's modeled after big Voyager canoes of the French fur trade from the Great Lakes. The lines come directly from the canoes that the Indians were building for thousands of years. So it's a very old design. The design that they had, it's the same design, and it has this beautiful shape that cuts a straight line in the water, in the lake. But when you need to turn, when you're in the river, you know you need to do a lot of maneuvering. It turns fast, too. So it has both qualities. That's why we love them for the Mississippi.
The design is old, but the materials are modern. John says that some of them have been tested in space travel. Safety is the top priority. John wouldn't want anyone who boards this kind of canoe to head out on the river to put himself at risk.
Yeah, it's made for the big water. It's really opened up the door, because before people were really scared about getting in the river, with good reason. You get in a short canoe, and it's going to be, it's like getting in the Porsche and getting on a mountain road, it's going to be bump, 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 But you get in the Cadillac, and it's going to very smooth, and it'll levels out all the bumps,
On the Mississippi, John has long since acquired the nickname Riverman, and we are getting ready with him for the big journey. Our equipment and the supplies all have to fit into 2 canoes.
Americans are just rediscovering what this river is about. And our whole purpose is to reconnect Americans and people from anywhere with the beauty of the river. And our hope is to provide access in a way, in a quality way, you know, that's quiet and respectful and makes better the environment. And so when we say, may the river be with you, we're just invoking that connection.
And then we're underway in the great, quiet world of the river. It is a solitary world with nothing but the water, the sky, and the greenery of the river bank. The Mississippi has long been separated from the life and the land of its banks. Concealed behind the dikes is the delta, once a massive floodland area. The early discoverers of the marshland may have thought that this was already the mouth of the river and subsequently gave it its misleading name. The delta is the land of the shacks, once upon a time disparagingly referred to as Negro shacks. You can occasionally still see one on the roadside. As nostalgic and quaint as they might appear today, they are nonetheless a reminder of tears, despotism, and suffering. Under their tin roofs lived a host of slaves whose job was to drain the land. They turned the delta into the land of cotton. The job of picking the white cotton balls was always accomplished with the help of child labor, even after slavery ended. Life in the Mississippi Delta was spent on sun-scorched fields, accompanied only by the songs of the cotton pickers. This is also a part of the history of the white gold. For over 200 years, cotton made the Delta's plantation owners wealthy. Today is the first day of the cotton harvest. Rain has kept the farmers from getting the crop in for 2 weeks now. The ground is actually still too soft for the heavy machines, but for Avon Whittington, there's a lot of money at stake. Avon is the third generation of cotton farmers in his family. His grandfather bought this land in 1910. In former times, farmers like the Whittingtons would employ hundreds of pickers, but machines have been doing the work now for more than 50 years. There aren't many farmers left who grow cotton in the Delta. Corn and soybeans seem more profitable these days, and they're less susceptible to the weather. But Avon is reluctant to follow this trend.
I wouldn't want to live anyplace else. The Mississippi Delta is ideal cotton ground. 200 miles long, 85 miles wide, and some of the richest cotton land in the world. There's no rock in the Delta. It's all just good topsoil.
Avon hopes to harvest enough cotton for almost 1 million pairs of jeans this year, if all goes well. He earns about $1 on every pair. But the price for this raw material depends wholly on its quality.
Okay, Peter, this has probably got a little more trash in it than we would like. Wish we could have given it more time to defoliate a little bit better. The gin will clean it up. The seed are firm, so that's good. Fiber length, just on close inspection, looks okay. Color, not the brightest stuff in the world. It's not going to be the little cotton balls you find in the drugstore, but the priority is getting it out of the field.
So you're satisfied?
Oh yeah. We're picking cotton. I'm happy. Cotton is an atmosphere. It's a way of life down here. If you'll let it happen, things are slow. Nobody gets real pushy. Nobody gets in a hurry, except me when I'm trying to get a cotton crop out.
The weather and the river are unpredictable, and every family in the Delta has a story to tell about them.
You were asking about the photographs. This is one of my mother in 1932. There were two great floods in recent memory, one in 27 and one in 32. This happened to be from the 32 flood, and she and two friends are standing out knee-deep in the water. But this is Mississippi River water, and that came from 65 miles away.
Thanks to the dikes, this won't happen again. But Avon sits in his office several times a day, checking the weather reports.
Right now, we need hot, dry weather. And by hot, I mean upper 80s would be nice, and lots of sunshine. And we need about 6 weeks of it.
The next day, it rains. And the forecast predicts nothing but low fronts after that. The sensitive plants begin to rot. The farmers say that cotton hates wet feet. Cotton's long history on the Mississippi may face an end. All over the Delta, we encounter rusty ruins on the roadside. They're called gins, the machines that remove the seeds and clean the cotton. They're no longer needed now, neither the machines nor the people who once worked here. As always, many of those people will move away to find a better life. What remains are places like Baptist Town, a settlement of former cotton workers. As far back as anyone can remember, only Black Americans have lived here. Sylvester Hoover was born on the Whittington farm. These days, he runs a general store, carrying everything you need to live in Baptist Town. It's a meeting place, thanks in large parts to his wife Mary Ann's cooking. She's been making barbecue here for 27 years, and it's made her famous. Sylvester Jr. is helping his mother prepare spare ribs.
When you're cooking outdoors, real southern cooking, slow cooking, you know. But you usually have both of the grill going when you're doing a feast. You have all the meat, all the chicken, all the sauce, all the food lined up, and you're just turning everything at the same time. Just southern cooking. I got 3 down ribs. I got hamburger meat. That's all right now.
Mary Ann and Sylvester Hoover want to preserve the memories of their 1950s childhood world for the residents of Baptist Town and anyone else who's interested. So they bought a house and turned it into the Back in the Day Museum.
Dad, he couldn't think about a big, pretty White House, a nice chair, or nice anything. All he could think about was food for the stomach, and the rain don't fall on your head when it's raining.
These houses with no hallways are called shotgun shacks, a symbol of the poverty in the American South.
This is the bedroom, and this house would have 9 to 11 people living in this house, and they would only have one bed, and we all stayed in the same 3-room house. And the way our house was set up, Mom and Dad stayed in the front room. The girls lived in the next room. And the boys, we had us a bed in the kitchen, in the corner in the kitchen. We had a little partition separate, something like this separate our beds from the stove.
Most of the black population in the South lived like Sylvester's family until the end of the 1950s.
My mom make us shirts out of cotton sack, and she would make us pants out of the sacks that the flour come in. And we would have one pair of shoes, and that pair of shoes had to last us all year. We had to, during regular time, we had to walk barefooted.
Back then in Mississippi, there was no compulsory school attendance for black children. Sylvester also only attended school when he wasn't needed to work in the fields.
At this desk at school, boy, is one of the ones that I sat in. I just wanted to bring it here so my grandkid could see the way I lived and the way we came up, and just get a little bit of background on what made me be here today.
Progress seems to have passed Baptist-town by. Not much has changed here since the days when it was only the black musicians with their guitars who were able to attain money and respect. Robert Johnson, the legendary godfather of modern blues music, is said to have had a reputation for paying clandestine visits to the cotton pickers' wives when their husbands were working in the fields. The legend goes that he was murdered by one such jealous husband. He is buried beside the Mount Zion Baptist Church, and the cemetery has become a mecca for blues fans from around the world. While Johnson only ever recorded some 30 songs, they remain the roots of the music of Eric Clapton, the Rolling Stones, the White Stripes, and others.
Blues for me meant happiness, sad. It meant everything. We expressed ourselves with music. But in our household, blues was bad, because our family would say that's the devil's music. They wouldn't let us, if we sang blues in the house, we would get slapped in the mouth, because they didn't want you to sing no kind of blues in the house. But they would go out to listen to blues. They would go out on Saturday night and listen to blues.
The dark streets of the Delta, with its furtive bars and cafes, this was the realm of the blues musicians, the kings of the Delta. They could earn as much here in one night as the members of their audience did working the fields in a whole month. Only a few of the blues cafes have survived, one of which is Club Ebony in Indianola. Tonight, Jerry Fair is playing here with his band, the Delta Blues Crew. On a weekday like today, only a few guests wind up in the snowman's land. The band's pay is pitiable, but what counts here is the reputation that this venue enjoys. And this is due to its owner, Mr. B.B. King, one of the last surviving legends from the blues heyday. Jerry is a cousin of the star, but he can only dream of a similar career. This is the house where Jerry Fair grew up, together with 6 siblings, in a family where everything revolved around God and music.
In fact, the entire neighborhood were very religious people. We had to do right. They made sure we did right. They didn't send us to church, they took us and got us involved in most of the functions that the youth had to do with the church. That's how I got involved in music.
Hey there, pretty mama, baby, don't you go too far.
My father played guitar for the same church for 60 years. There was only one guitar, one piano. I started on piano because he was playing the guitar. And man, we had some good services, where it was riveting. I can recall on occasions before the fog machine was invented, the people in the church would be shouting and jumping, and dust would rise from the floor, and it looked like a fog machine. The same music we did in church, you could take it today and, change the lyrics and put a little blues flavor in there, and you could play it in both environments. So I think that was the chemistry. The people endured. Their spirits were crying out, "Oh Lord, save me from these conditions." It'd be easy to change the words and say, "Big leg woman, keep your dress down," you know, with the same delivery. Besides the erotic nature of a sexual encounter, the guitar is the next best thing.
His music and his career as a carpenter helped Jerry acquire a nice house for himself and his family.
Give me one reason to stay here, and I turn my back around.
I can see you turning.
Give me one reason to stay here, and I turn my back around.
Gilleen has been Jerry's wife for 30 years. Their children are grown now and have all moved out. And the couple says that it is the music that binds them to one another.
I just want someone that hold me, ooh, and rock me tonight. Take it away.
They have stayed together despite all the problems Jerry had over the years.
I think the music is the ingredient. God gives us herbs and in the field and barks off the tree and the leaves and the stems to cure man's physical ailments. But music is the cure for the soul.
Just so I can love you, yes, and give you what you need.
Life is not generous down in the Delta, America's poorest region. To get a sense of the melancholy of the blues, you only have to drive through its almost abandoned towns on a day like this one. And then we're back at the banks of the mighty river, as wild and untamed as the stories that this vast land tells. The area in front of the dike is the last refuge of the desperate, the unfortunate who have come up short in the American way of life. Those who live here are at the mercy of the river, even when the trailer is on stilts. Years ago, Rusty lost his job at a nearby factory. Since then, he gets by as a fisherman, living from and with the river. This is his world.
And I've been through a bunch of floods up here. Last year was rough. Last year, I mean, it was 10 foot of water right here where you standing at right now. We had water all the way up on the air conditioning unit, and all that stuff went on the water on it. It was bad. I started putting all this back up, you know, and just trying to get it put back together, you know. Water was terrible last year down here. I slept in the truck for almost 2 months over on the other side of the levee over there.
Despite everything, the people here wouldn't trade their lives with anyone.
Oh, in the summertime, when the water's down, the sandbars is up. Oh, it's really, I mean, it's like going into another world out there. Time, to me, when I used to go out there on that river and stay on them bars and stuff, it's like time stopped traveling. It was just so peaceful out there, and, you know, it was really nice out there, you know.
As we say goodbye to Rusty, the rain begins again. The rain is unceasing. Right when we're about to attend the blues festival in Rosedale, just behind the dike, the rain turns into a storm. No one here can remember another year with so much rain. We drive on through this mournful landscape, further northwards, upriver. For decades, the White Front Cafe has been known as the Delta's best spot for tamales. After living in Chicago for 35 years, Barbara Pope inherited the cafe from her brother, and she has continued its tradition of success.
I have a lot of out-of-town customers. One living in New York, and he comes in and FedEx her tamales to New York. And it's very expensive to send tamales anywhere.
Y'all have a good day.
And I have one customer, he's the vice president of First National Bank. He sends his tamales to California to someone. And I have another one, Dr. Lewis and Rebecca Lewis. They down at the festival now. They have children that live in South Carolina. They ship tamales to South Carolina.
There are countless recipes for tamales. This is one Barbara has from her brother Joe, who founded the White Front Cafe. Tamales are an old American dish consisting of spicy meatballs wrapped in corn husks. Mexican workers introduced them to the cotton plantations in the American South some 200 years ago.
It's not a money-making business, but it keeps you going, you know.
Barbara is 65, and the span of her lifetime is also an epoch of far-reaching changes on the banks of the mighty river. Few places in America have contributed more to these changes than the tiny delta town of Money. And rarely does a story fade from memory like the one whose setting Sylvester Hoover is now taking us to. Sylvester experienced the events of August 1955 as a child in Money. In the neighborhood, 14-year-old Emmett Till, a black youth from Chicago, is spending his summer holidays with his Uncle Mo. Emmett was a high-spirited boy from the big city up north on a visit down south, which was strictly segregated according to race at the time. Roy Bryant and his wife Carolyn were the white owners of this mom-and-pop store, now long abandoned and dilapidated.
Emmett Till set out on the front of this store along with Simeon Wright and his brother. When Carolyn Bryant walked out the store, she walked out this door, the car was parked right here, and she was holding her baby. And when she walked out the store and went around to her car, Emmett Till whistled at her. And Simeon Wright said when Emmett Till whistled at Carolyn Bryant, said him, Emmett Till, and his brother, they start running.
Emmett runs to his Uncle Mo's place. He thinks he is safe there. But Roy Bryant and his brother Milam aren't about to let an insult like this from a black kid go unpunished.
Later on that night, Bryant and Milam came to the house. Mose offered Bryant money not to take Emmett Till, and Bryant almost fell for it, but his brother, J.W. Milam, said, hell no, don't take it. So we're gonna take this boy down here and teach him a lesson. And then they took him away, and then the next 2 or 3 days, somebody was fishing in the river back here, the Tallahatchie River, and they seen Emmett Till were floating in the river or something in the river.
Emmett was tortured and mutilated for 2 days before he died. The murderers were eventually brought to trial, only to be acquitted by the white jury. But for the first time, this type of unatoned murder made headlines throughout the country.
We think he started, but even before Dr. Martin Luther King, it was Emmett Till, and we think he's the one that got the civil rights movement going.
Much has changed along the Mississippi since those days. But the past still hangs in the air, especially when darkness falls. The cotton fields conceal the local juke joints, bars favored by black patrons. The Poor Monkey is one of the last original Delta juke joints, and for 50 years it's belonged to Willie Seabury. He is a tractor driver who prefers to leave the talking to his friends.
A lot of people come in and say there's a lot of his special, something they've never seen before. You know, because there was some boys down from, Baltimore, New York?
New York.
Last weekend we were in Boston. They were around for a while, for maybe about a week and a half around here. Yeah. They really said they really enjoyed it being here.
Everybody get the feeling of the blues, you know. Everybody started dancing and singing. Sometimes Jimmy tried to dance in the kitchen, but he'd be working dancing because he got the blues. You know, the blues make you feel good. You got to feel it. Yeah, that's all they play is the blues, nothing else. Nothing but the blues.
At 10, 11 o'clock at night, the house get packed. Yeah.
Sometimes 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, pretty close.
Yeah, sometimes we have to put them out. They don't even want to go home. We have to put them out because, see, we have to get up and have to go to work and meet a job the next day. You see? And when some of them probably don't have to do nothing. And so we have to put them out. Yeah.
Dirt tracks through the fields are the only roads leading to the Pool Monkey. But even on a Thursday evening, there are plenty of folks who manage to make their way out to the club. The word juke is probably of African origin, roughly meaning bad, wicked, or disreputable. But there's nothing disreputable here. Willie runs the place with an iron hand and has zero tolerance for drugs or violence. For decades, modest bars like this were the most important meeting places for the black community. Here, the people could drink, play their music, and meet members of the opposite sex. And it was always places like this where curious whites discovered black culture. These were encounters with momentous implications that ultimately changed the music of the entire world. And while Willie the tractor driver's Pool Monkey hasn't made him rich, it certainly made him famous. As we're saying our farewells, he confides that he still hasn't found the right woman here yet, but that might change. The morning following our first night on the river is like a journey back to the origins of our world. We traveled the river for a day in canoes with the riverman John Rusky before bedding down for the night on an island in the middle of the river. None of us could close our eyes to sleep under the star-filled night sky. John warned us that the river makes you hungry, and there's a long, strenuous day ahead. John says that we're lucky. Most of the year, these islands are underwater. The water level already rose during the night, and in just a few days, there won't be any trace of the spots where we're frying our breakfast eggs right now. There's hardly a day that goes by throughout the year when the riverman doesn't go for a swim in his river.
When you're on the water, you might feel like you're on the lake until you start looking around and you see how fast the trees are moving by you, and the big boils are coming up and big whirlpools are swirling around, and the sky is so open above you. And so it's a very elemental landscape. You're reconnected to the sky and the earth and the water, you know. And then you then you make some cowboy coffee and breakfast, and you're reconnected to the fire, you know. So those are pretty basic elemental things.
John traveled down the Mississippi for the first time in 1982 with a friend on a raft they built from material that they found. Their journey back then took 5 months. Since then, John's life has followed the flow of the rivers.
I haven't seen the whole world, but I've seen a lot of it. But this is my favorite waterway. It's a very creative, powerful expression of fluid movement, freedom, humility, fear, enlightenment, things that are basic human feelings that we sometimes get disconnected from. I don't think a lot, actually. I spend a lot of time just looking and experiencing and trying to understand the landscape and all the things that are going on.
Most of the time spent on a canoe ride along the Mississippi is a journey inwards. Tourists looking for adventure and picturesque motifs will likely to be disappointed. Occasionally we meet barges, a rare change of scenery for us. And we too are a rare sight for the captains of these barge trains. We can hear their radio chatter.
There, and they go right down that right that's in the bank. It's looking like it's gonna put them right down in the turn week with you. All right, okay, sure, appreciate it. I'll be
We're talking about you. They said, looks like one of them has a big camera and some lights, and I can't tell what they're doing. Very dangerous. Yeah. Yeah, the most dangerous place is right in front of them, of course, you know. So we just stay out of their way. But they make all kinds of weird situations. Sometimes they're passing each other, and oftentimes the current will pull you right into one, and you don't even realize it, you know. So yeah, you gotta be aware all the time when you're around those guys. Usually it's pretty mellow like that, you know.
John has been on the river long enough to lose his fear of these giant vessels. We keep our distance.
This, especially the lower Mississippi, is very little traveled except by tugboats. And when you think of the Mississippi, you think of steamboats and picturesque little villages. But the lower Mississippi, it's a huge floodplain. You can't build anything right on the banks. It's nothing but a huge floodplain.
This is not exactly a place designed for humans. In the bayous, the river branches, we are joined by swarms of mosquitoes. Other animals are less conspicuous. Most alligators just want to be left alone. John warns us about snakes, but one has somehow made its way into his hat.
I wear my hat, Wood? You look a little hot.
We've traveled almost 40 miles now, and it's time to look for a place to bed down for the night. Our destination is an island without a name, known only as number 68. We find plenty of dried driftwood for our campfire, although the spot is underwater for most of the year. Islands come and go, John says, because the Mississippi is always looking for a new riverbed, regardless of what people do. No map of the river is useful for more than 10 years, but John Riverman Rusky knows every nook and cranny. He spends most of the year on his river. It was on one such journey years ago that John met his wife. They married on a sandbank. Nowadays, their 2-year-old daughter also accompanies him on his voyages of discovery whenever possible.
The river literally brought me here. It grabbed my toe just like this and it sucked me down and pulled me down right into this area. The ocean is all around us, but the river runs through us, you know? And so it's like our veins. It's our arteries and our veins. And it's the thing that sustains us and drains us. And it doesn't matter where you are in the valley. You're influenced by it.
We sit for a long time around the campfire talking about this vast, untamed land whose very heart is the Mississippi River.